Hello, everyone. This is Mark Plaster, Senior Executive Editor of Emergency Physicians Monthly, and you're listening to EP Talk, the place where emergency physicians come to talk about things that affect our professional as well as personal lives. And today, I'm proud to be talking to Marc Levine, who is the inventor and the entrepreneur who is bringing us a brainstorm of his. And I have to say that it's always been a pleasure for Emergency Physicians Monthly to introduce new products. And emergency physicians are the people oftentimes that see the problem and invent the better mousetrap. And Mark's done that. So welcome to EP Talk.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Tell me, first off, it's the thing that I enjoy about these podcasts oftentimes is I get to see into somebody's life. And we're looking at you giving your podcast from I think your dining room.
Yes.
But tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to emergency medicine, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I initially went to University of Pennsylvania undergraduate, and then went to Rutgers Medical School while it was in many of the multiple transitions from a 2-year program with sending people up to Harvard to 4 years when it was College of Medicine and Dentistry to formal University of Medicine and Dentistry, and then left the Northeast and went to Philadelphia to do some surgical internship. And while I initially was planning going into urology, that didn't seem to what I wanted to do. So during my time in between, started working in emergency departments and went to Texas Tech El Paso for my residency, and have been practicing for 30 plus years now. And last year just took my boards for presumably the next to last time, as we laugh, although right now I'm pleasantly involved in helping them with their pilot program for the board. So we'll see how that goes.
That's great. That's great.
And so I've always been a thinker in advance of things that have happened. Normally it's been as far as projects and papers to do. I remember in emergency medicine saying, why don't we study puncture wounds on the foot? What should we do? Should we core them open? Should we put them on antibiotics? Everybody said what a stupid idea that was, except when 2 years later there were multiple papers being published in the same year. So I guess maybe. So taking your idea and following through. So when coronavirus came out and hit the world, and my wife had a dental problem. She couldn't get to see a dentist because nobody knew what to do. The American Dental Society said, shut the world, it's over. And fortunately, some oral surgeons were open and she was able to go there. But I got together with my brother-in-law and said, wouldn't it be nice for the dentists who are going to be dealing in people's faces without masks, without shields, to be able to do something? And took the initial vision of those that had the intubation box, which is a very nice, difficult idea to work with for that specific thing, and tried to create something for the dentist office. And my brother, being the actual dentist, took the idea and said, well, why don't we try and put something else, put a shield directly over the patient that we could do it. And I said, wait a minute. Why am I just looking over there? Why am I not looking? I said, I don't really relish the thought of doing a throat culture or looking in people's mouths when I have to have them take off their mask. Yes, I can have a mask, I can have a shield and all that stuff, but what does that do about my clothing? So we thought about that, and I said, wait a minute. As I later that day, around that period of time, was doing one of our multiple surgical procedures, lacerations, abscesses, whatever. And you say, well, that's not a big deal. Well, yeah, you and I know how often you infiltrate and you get showered with the lidocaine. Forget about the contagion. The lidocaine goes back on us. And your wife, I'm sure, has said, really, can you please wear scrub next time or put a gown on? And I realized how often we do procedures where it would just be nice to be protected from backsplash, whether it's from abscess drainage, from irrigation. And yes, you can use that nice little cup for irrigation, but again, you're in a smaller field. How often you infiltrate and blood comes back. You're doing an oral abscess, somebody's mouth. There is nothing you can do at that point. And yes, you can have your stuff on. And basically, the two of us came up with this model that, except for one small change as far as the extension arm, that we could use in both areas. And it's worked out very well.
Yeah, the thing I like about, as I mentioned, about inventions, oftentimes they are incredibly and elegantly simple. And when you see them, you go, yeah, I could have done that. And it's just somebody who says, here's a problem. How's the straightest line to fix the problem? What's the easiest and simplest? You've come up with. You said you made a prototype with PVC and just kind of went from there and refined it. And tell us about the product, the process you did by. In the inventing process?
Well, my brother-in-law is a dentist by trade. His father was a plumber, and he grew up with a plumbing background. So plumbers know PVC. So I guess had his father or my father been a mechanic or a welder, we would have started with aluminum or metal. So we started with PVC. It was actually very lightweight, making it very, very nice. And the only thing is, as we started this, and people say, I can go to Home Depot and get that. Well, okay, but Home Depot doesn't have, and there is nothing on the market that allows for a movable PVC joint. Right. There's nothing there. So we had to come up with ways by running it by, and again, even going on Alibaba and looking all over the world, just doesn't exist. Yeah. Then, of course, the most interesting thing we found is that we did not pay enough attention during Physics 102, because in Physics 102 is when you learn about optics. Now, for us being able to look through a shield like this or any surface, it doesn't have to be completely optic clear for what we're doing 99% of the time. We look at through our shields, we look at our glasses, even though they can get fogged up. For a dentist, it's much more important. So we went, and his initial idea was to have a dome so that you'd actually have some additional room underneath. Well, because we didn't pay attention in Physics 102, with optics, when a light comes down on a concave surface, it's going to reflect back in your eye. So the initial model was a great model, practical, but you couldn't work with it because the lights from above, the lights from their headlight would scatter back in their eye. Okay, so we were with our thermoplastics people and say, well, what can we do? What can we do? Well, why don't we try it if we make it a little bit convex, and how little can we go to not lose space underneath, but to have the optics resolved? And it worked. And it's as you go through development and you realize, well, this model is several $1,000s just to get this part of it. And as I look at products in the dental field, because there's nothing medical that exists like this. There's just nothing on the market. As we've looked at some of the other entrepreneurs that have come up in the dental field, all of their models are either a flat or something that's concave. And one of the very, very expensive models, the person advertises himself as sort of an inventor, and he got help from a dentist, but you could tell that a dentist has never used it because it would be flashing back in their eyes, making it not practical. So it's the mistakes are what makes it interesting. We'll have it next week. Well, nothing really works that fast in this world.
So the actual surface that you're looking through is not flat?
Correct.
See, I did not know that. Okay, I did not know that.
So it's because, again, for us now, looking through any of the light from our overhead light will scatter. And you look at how things come about. When I had initially distributed this to the 3-facility hospital system I'm in, one of the PAs called me and said, well, I had the pleasure of doing a Bartlett cyst with no overhead light, and most ERs are set up with very poor lighting. They were developed by somebody who's never worked there. So as you can imagine, the lighting you need to do a Bartlett cyst from the overhead light just can't get there. He said, it'd be nice if there was an attachable light. So I actually went on Amazon and bought an attachable light that we're going to start adding as a nice little $9 hand-me-out, but it attaches. And so when you're dealing in an inconvenient area, you can get illumination directly through this to an area, such as doing a Bartlett cyst, which was it was a very simple, you talk about elegant, a very simple solution for $9 as a clip-on light that should last about 200 hours with recharging and all that stuff. So it's, but for us, it's nice, and we're using it. I still think I have yet to have an intubation. I still think I can use this for intubating because I would sooner look through this than a lot of the other things. Although respiratory said, well, what about me? I'm on the other side. I said, well, okay. I'm on this side, and that's what I'm worried about. I have somebody's open mouth. I had to do some oral manipulation of an oral gastric tube in somebody that was intubated and covered their mouth and was able to do it without having, again, we're all wearing masks. I just can't wear a shield with glasses for a long period of time. It's just too just inconvenient and just get fogged up. So.
And is the device itself on a roller on
yes.
I keep using
sure. Right. So sure. So
okay.
Right over here. So right over here, there's a little twist knob that allows it to go from this height.
Okay. Let me see the
feet. All the way up. So the feet is on. Yeah. It's on a roller.
Just a standard roller.
Correct. And what's very nice about this is we went with a 19-inch roller base as opposed to the standard 26 because it's very lightweight. And in our situation of trying to get it in the stretcher in an area that you want, for example, if you want to do somebody's leg, you want to do somebody's arm, you don't have a lot of foot space between your chair, the base of the stretcher. So it's for us, although it was initially designed with a thought in a dental operatory, they don't have a whole lot of space. So at 19 inches, while it might not provide an incredible amount of torque support if it were heavy, but it's very lightweight. The whole product is less than 10 pounds. So, and the shield weighs ounces.
So it could be it could go high enough for a stand up. You could stand up.
Correct.
Or you could actually, it looks like it's low enough, it's almost at your table height. You could actually be sitting down and do it if you okay.
Correct. We're going for as low as 33. We're going as low for the model that we're using for the emergency department can go as low as 33 inches up to almost 60 inches of the stand. And then this can be placed in either this position or can be placed in this position. So you have the ability to do landscape or portrait profile, depending what's better. So in this position, for example, if I'm looking in somebody's mouth, my arms can go around it without a problem. It doesn't interfere. I've been able to do oral abscesses very easily with having this several inches away, position light, and get my hands in there, and people can cough and spit all they want. And this also allows enough room for an assistant to have a suction device there at the same time.
Have you ever had multiple shields, for instance, if somebody's on the other side of the bed and they're working with you and they're shielded as well? I mean, do you ever try multiple?
We haven't had to because, again, we haven't used it in a trauma situation. So primarily we're using it, and I'm going to right now primarily in a community hospital situation. So using it more in a controlled environment, laceration, abscesses, oral evaluations, oral swabbing, things like that. So in a more controlled environment, somebody did have an amputation involving a part of the hand that was very nice for the staff to be able to have this there, unwrapped, not worried about getting squirted, and the shields are removable. They're cleanable if needed. Again, if they're very contaminated, we just would recommend replacing them. They're very inexpensive to replace. If somebody breathes on them, they're cleanable with 70% alcohol.
Got it. And it doesn't damage or degrade the visibility that you have if you put alcohol on it?
No, 70% alcohol is perfect for it, just using one of the microfiber wipes. For our environment, again, with what we're dealing with, I would expect that if you get blood on it, most people would opt just to throw it out and replace it. It's under $4 to replace the shield, to replace the shield itself.
Is it easy to do? Do you have to unscrew something or? Oh.
I'm sorry. Should I do that slow, right?
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's actually.
We have, again, it's as you're learning what you need to do with the cutouts and we wanted to make it snug enough that it was not going to fall off when you change positions, but easy enough that it could be removed that simply. As we mentally went through various versions of using a heavier gauge, flat plates, putting timbers in here, screw them on, screw them off, and then the potential contamination in those areas, realized that this was probably for the emergency department a better model.
So when I purchase this product, I'll get the stand, and then I'll get with it a certain supply of shields.
Right. For this, we're providing two shields. They're 28 gauge. And again, it all depends on what your usage are going to be. If somebody would have something like this in a nurse's triage station or where they're doing COVID swabbing all day long, again, I would expect you to be able to clean it, just to wipe it down in between as needed. And the shield should last for months. Again, in our environment, a tiny little scratch would be unlikely to affect our ability to do a laceration repair. In a dental office, they're doing less procedures, but the need for their optics is certainly greater.
Do you find that there's any magnification from the concavity of it?
No, nothing of significance. It doesn't
that you could see.
There's been no distortion, which is good.
Have you had any comments from the patients about freedom from the standpoint of some of the hoods and boxes and things like that people have operated with could create some element of claustrophobia, and I would think that having something that's kind of freestanding, it's not really on your face, it's not covering you, you might have a better response from the patient for
For the people that have done primarily oral evaluations and oral abscesses and places, again, my personality is such as to talk to them about what I'm doing and also about this, and many of them have liked it, thought it was a good idea. Again, it's none of them like that claustrophobic feeling. So having it out, and likewise not worrying about, although I'm more worried about them because they don't have a mask versus I do, but they also have the feeling of protection because the rest of the world is protected from them. Is being guarded. So it's a false sense of protection on their part because, again, we're being masked or whatever. But from us, I truly am not very concerned. Not that we fully understand spread of all contagion aside, aerosolized. I think we all know somebody coughing directly in your face, even with a mask on your clothing, is a bad thing. Somebody wants to cough, it goes to the side. When I guess they start giving contagion maps of how to make left-hand turns and right-hand turns and go around corners and things like that. Again, my personal feeling, a lot of this all has to do with load volume. So if you can do anything to decrease, and obviously something like this would significantly decrease, and if you're decreasing it by 50%, 1,000%, whatever you're decreasing it by helps me sleep better, and I don't have to worry about going home with anything on my clothing at this point.
Yeah.
I don't get lidocaine. I don't get blood. I don't get coughed on.
That's pretty cool. I want to ask you a little bit about your entrepreneurial side. I mean, how you are you guys making these yourself, and you're shipping them yourself? It's just a cottage industry of your own?
Yes, it's at this point the production is all occurring in my garage, and that's where we're shipping it. And God willing, there will be there will be an asymptotic increase in the need that we will worry then about getting a local warehouse because again, my feeling is certainly want to keep this local. The pricing that we have, especially for institutional, which is lower, is such that I don't feel any need to ship outside to manufacture outside the country. Thermal projection in China, again, it's just keep it here, and my hope will be to continue to keep it here and expand the workforce from 2 to as many as that we need. And yes, we are shipping it ourselves, and at nighttime, when the TV goes off, I said, well, who else, what other industries or areas could benefit? And I've marketed this to the educational environment, and not having any success. And I think that's because while I've marketed this primarily as a protection for the teachers, they're standing in front of classrooms, whether at the college level or whatever. I think almost all educational environments, one, are financially strapped. Two, they have no idea the direction they're going. Here in New Jersey, I hear about schools, districts closing because of 2 cases. Nobody knows what they're going to do. Nobody knows what they should do. So nobody wants to spend any money. Yeah. But my next area is the hair salon industry.
Now, there you go.
In New Jersey, because we have the most backward-thinking people over here, they are prohibited from doing men's facial hair because the mask may not come off, but for 0 seconds. So you have other places such as California, which allows the mask to be removed, but the stylist has to have a shield on. Well, if you would use this and somebody is on this side, then you don't necessarily need a shield, and you could adequately do men's facial grooming without any concern for the brief period of time their mask needs to go off. And then you have other extremes where some states say do what you want, but I would look at this as a very, admittedly the stylist is still wearing a mask in most of the states, but again, I would look at this as something that would allow a stylist to practice freely and have the customer without a mask on, without anything in front of them, to be able to do a cosmetically wonderful job.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And I'm loving the idea of you having this whole manufacturing stream within your own sphere there in the garage, and may eventually, if you're doing more, move out of that. But still, because the reason why I'm saying that, I've talked to other emergency physician entrepreneurs who have come up with some similarly genius devices. And the thinking is that, well, who's going to make this for me? And what you've kind of said is, actually, maybe you could make it yourself. And certainly, if you have to make 1 million of them, but you always start with 1, 2, 100, and then when that becomes more than you can handle, then you have the business backbone to move into manufacturing. So that's. I want to give that encouragement to other entrepreneurs that try making it yourself and see how far you can go with that. That's a great idea.
Well, fortunately, my brother-in-law had a lot of the technical skills and the couple of little brainstorm ideas in order to make this mobile, because again, if you've had any experience with PVC, it is not meant to move. It is certainly not meant to bend. It is certainly not meant to do this. The joints don't exist to do that. And creating that with timbers and set screws and offsetting and again has made it quite interesting. But the area that you didn't mention yet is so you have that, and then it becomes marketing.
Yeah.
Now, one, we're in a completely different world that compared to 3 years ago. I look at my product and I cry every time well, now I can stop crying because it's over, when I think I would have loved to have been at ASAP this year. This is a product that you see it, you touch it, you move it, you understand it.
Yeah.
To even see it in print, you can see pictures of understanding, and it takes a little bit more creativity. Something that is just a flash digital ad, you're still not going to have it. So it's a matter of how to market, and that is obviously our biggest problem at this point, of getting it into an area. The days of reps coming and buying you lunch and bringing things might not be practical for this. I can't walk in my dentist's office, or my brother-in-law can't walk in the 1,000 dentists within 20 miles of me and just say, "Let me show you something." No, you can't get into your appointment without your temperature being taken, a phone call, screening, exam to begin with. So. As I have just handwritten 600, or actually 500 letters, envelopes, to deans and faculty at every dental school in the United States, and multiple of their associates, with a cover letter and a little brochure, and hope that somebody will at least open it to look at and say, "Wow, this might be a very nice product for our dental unit, for the dental students that are going there." And the next approach is the same handwritten approach for emergency department directors, but it's an uphill battle.
Though, I think your idea of sending this to hairstylists is a brilliant idea, because there's a lot of them, and they absolutely are like us. They're in your face all the time, and it's a simple enough device that you could use that and reliably protect the hairstylist and not the patient, but the customer. So that's a brilliant idea. I would like to see you push that out to that market for sure.
We've also looked at nail salons, for example, although they have attempted to go more with permanent-based acrylic products, which it doesn't give them quite the mobility, but the cost is much less. I look at a product like this, that if you take any normal functioning salon that today, because of state regulations, is not doing men's facial hair, they are losing in one day the cost of this product. And as you talked about cleaning, for them, they're not going to be getting blood on it. They're not going to be getting anything on it. Right. This is a very quick wipe down. And if they had to replace the shield, as I said, at under $4 on a quarterly basis, really, it's and it would allow them to comfortably. And forget about COVID. Just think about, again, we are all seeing and going to see, I'm sure, less influenza this year because of just the general kind of things that if I was there, why not, if there is something that allows me to perform in the same way and keep myself a little bit safer, why not?
Yeah, exactly. I think that, and I've said this in my monthly column, I've said that I think that we've become more aware of infectious disease in the emergency department because of this, and I think it's going to permanently change how we practice. And I think that we're going to be more and more aware of becoming infected, infecting other people, and using devices like this and personally protective equipment ourselves. And so I think it's going to actually change the way we do things. And if you can have something like this that is non-intrusive, it's and that's a perfect thing for being just a tiny little shield is between you and the patient, whether you're cutting their hair or you're washing their hair or they're looking in their mouth or doing something like that. It's so non-intrusive. I like that aspect of it. Now, here's the thing that I want to make absolutely sure that our listeners hear: how do they get it?
So our website is pro-tech.ppe.com.
Okay, it's PRO dash.
Dash TECTPPE.com.
Protect PPE that has a
With
dash.
with a dash, yes.
Don't forget the dash. Protect PPE, and they can order straight from the website. Is that how it works? Or
Yes, can order directly from the website. If it's a hospital system interested in more than 2 units, there's a contact number for institutional pricing. And if somebody wishes to see a demonstration, there's a contact there, and I'd be happy to set up a Zoom presentation so you or your staff could see exactly how this is used.
Great, great.
So.
Protect PPE with a dash. Okay, we'll remember that. And Mark, thank you for demonstrating this, and more importantly, actually, thank you for using your entrepreneurial and inventor hat to bring an elegantly simple product to the market that answers a need that we all have. We all have every single day, and actually even for people outside of our own particular industry or specialty. So thank you so much, and for all of our listeners, thank you for joining EP Talk, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.